This time I'm going to do a detached body on one of my old favourites, which is a cow dung fly. Love using cow dung flies for wild trout fishing, particularly in the lochs, anywhere where there's cows or any other animals round about, that'll create that fly which will find itself in the water. So I've got some A2 medium olive thread on a K14A Partridge size 14 hook, and as you can see, a nice curve in this hook. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this thread down to just where it's coming in line with the point of the hook. Next step, I like to put in something eye-catching in the tag, either a chartreuse fluorescent thread, or in this case I'm going to use some pearl Mirage, and just catch the Mirage tinsel in there, a couple of turns, and then I'm just going to, it's just a tag, just going to catch in just the 2 or 3 turns there, and then lock it in place. Yeah, trim the waist, and that's that ready to go. Now if you want, for belt and braces, just take some of your brush coat, just drop a tiny wee drop of varnish onto there, dab it on with your finger, and then that'll help give you a little extra bit of protection. Now for the body of this fly, what I'm going to use is the Superfine dubbing from Semperfli, and in this case here it's going to be the sulphera. Okay, now what you do is just draw a strand or two, so we pinch of the dubbing like that, very fine. Do not overdo this. Fold it in half, just double it up there, just so you've got something to work with. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to twist it away from itself at one end, yeah, holding it with my thumb and my finger with the opposite hand, and then do the same, twist away on the other side 3-4 times, hold it in the thumb and finger again, and then if you just let it come up in the centre, it'll spin up against itself, and then you have formed your detached body. As you can see, very fine. You can thicker, a bit more dubbing if you want it to be a thicker body. In this case, a nice wee fine body I'll do for this fly. Then I'll just catch it in place, like so. Okay, trim off the waist. Ready for the next step. So the next step here for me is I've taken a mix of orange, yellow, olive, black and a bit of sparkle dubbing to form a nice, what I call a cow dung dub. Yeah, so I've put that in the thread. I've left it short though before I do that, because what I'm going to do is wind the thread up to there, set the dubbing, and then I'm just going to wind this back down, so I'm dubbing down the body of the fly, and then just take the thread back through, and I've formed the body. So I've wound down, dubbed up. If you feel it's a little bit shy, then by all means just drop yourself in another little bit of dub. Cow dungs are quite a Scot fly, so you can get away with a good bit of dubbing. And the last step, I just like to brush that out gently using my Velcro and Velcro scrub. Okay, so next step, it's hopper. So you need hopper legs, and just take a little bunch of pre-knotted pheasant tail legs, like so. They're double knotted, but for the hoppers I just prefer to use the very tips, the single knot, and then I'll catch that on the top so that the tips of the legs are just about in line, maybe slightly longer but no more than the detached body. And as you can see, the detached body itself, I've set that in line with coming to the bend of the hook. I've locked that in place. Clean off the waste, into the wing. And the wing for this one here, as you can see, is yellow dyed Roe Deer here. Take a little pinch, stack it, just to line the tips up nice and even. Any loose fibres or stubborn fibres that are not lined up, just pick them out the way. Set that on top there so that the wings are going to come just about in line with the tag. Grip it tight and throw a few locking turns in there, like so. And then draw your fingers away as I've done there, and then that'll take any broken fibres or loose fibres in the deer hair out the way with them. And then what I do is I gather all the ends together like so, come in with my scissors tight to the hook, so lifting all of that tag ends of deer hair out the way, and then just nip it out the road. Draw the tag ends back just to make sure that there's nothing over the eye of the hook, and then just lock it in place like so. Okay, I like to take a furnace hackle now, not too thick and not too wide because it's a size 14. So I've taken a furnace hackle and I've prepared it. So it's a cock hackle. Catch the hackle and just right at the base of the wing there like that, yeah. Trim the stem, tag end. Take your hackle and fold it so that it sits square. That'll make the fibres sit up better when you come to wind them on. As you can see, they're sitting up square. So you take a full turn and then just draw them back and put the next turn in front. And you'll probably want about maybe say 3 or 4 turns maximum. Working up towards the eye of the hook. Lock the hackle in place. Draw it back. Keep your scissors open very slightly. Just a V in the end of the scissors. Don't cut. Just push across. Your scissors should be sharp enough to be able to cut that out the way. That way you're not cutting any fibres out the way. Then draw everything back and then form the head. Don't worry if you've got 1 or 2 stubborn fibres sitting out there, you can cut them off after. If you take your finger and your thumbnail and grip behind the eye of the hook, as you tighten the thread up, what that does is it forces the thread back over the collar of the hook and the eye, and it forces the thread back up onto itself. And then what I like to do is drop in a whip finish, just a couple of turns there. That's that locked in place, yeah. There's a lot of material here, so coming in afterwards to varnish the head of the fly means that you're probably going to catch the varnish on the hackle, etc. So what I like to do is drop in a bit of varnish onto the thread, not too much. Shorten that up, pull that back, and then just wind over the whip finish you've already done. So you varnish that one, and while the varnish is still wet and there's still a little drop on the thread, then I drop in a second whip finish, and that gives them a belt and braces effect, because let's face it, this fly is going to take a lot of punishment. Well, you certainly hope so. Again, tighten behind the collar of the hook, come in. Now what I like to do with this one, because I'm going to be fishing this fly dry, what I like to do with this is if you gather all the hackle underside, come in with your scissors, cut that away, roll it over, and then just make sure you've got everything on the underside trimmed out, and that gives you a nice flat underside of the fly, as you can see there. Any stubborn fibres, as I said, you just nip them out the way. Yep, that one's been particularly stubborn. That gives you a nice flat underside to the fly, so that when you fish this, I fish it dry, it'll sit right down in the surface film, making it an easy target for the trout. And that's it, gink the entire fly. And that there, as you can see, is a nice little cow dung fly with a detached body using your Mayfly Superfine dubbing. Hope you like that one, guys.